in the news because I'm here. I'm in the news because the Democratic Party is here. Damn it, lower than that. Down at the bottom. They suck right now. Horrible. We were looking for the courts to help us. Who the hell told y'all I'd want to be a Democrat? The black vote, the Hispanic vote, the young voters all voted for him. He won.
A new poll came out that showed potential Democrat candidates for the 2028 election. And on that short list were names like Kamala Harris, Hakeem Jeffries, Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg. But also on that list with a pretty significant amount of support was ESPN host Stephen A. Smith. Now, Stephen A. Smith voted for Kamala Harris, but ever since the embarrassing loss on election night, Stephen A. Smith has been eviscerating the Democrats at literally every turn. And when he caught wind of this new poll, instead of being flattered or enthusiastic, he was pissed off. Because as he says in this video, it highlights just how far the Democrat Party has fallen that a sports anchor is polling on a potential list of presidential candidates for the Democrat Party, which prompts him to give the Democrats one of the most brutal tongue lashings I have ever heard. So make sure you guys watch till the end because this is going to blow your mind. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, but let's start with him talking about the first fatal mistake out of many that the Democrats made, which was weaponizing the justice system against Donald Trump. Watch.
I hate it when the left, because I firmly believe they politicized a whole bunch of legal stuff against Donald Trump. I'm not questioning the legitimacy or lack thereof. I don't know. You got the 11,000 votes he was seeking in Georgia. You got the 34 felony convictions he received in New York. Some people said it's hush money. Others said, what's the difference between that and an NDA? Damn it, the man cooked up with a porn star and didn't want anybody to know before the election. Oh my God, stop the presses. John Edwards got loose as a Democratic nominee or a Democratic candidate when he was running for the presidency. He didn't want people to know. I'm quite sure he would have hit it if he could have gotten away with it. Gary Edwards did the same thing. You don't think Clinton tried to submerge evidence against him with the whole Monica Lewinsky scandal? Come on. I think it was politicized.
The reason I like showing Stephen A. Smith on this channel is because, like I said, he voted for Kamala Harris, but he has extensively laid into the Democrats for their corruption, for the games that they play, for their lawlessness that they engage in, and gives us a true insight into how a moderate Democrat voter thinks, not one of these outraged Trump-deranged leftists. He is a common sense, left-leaning person who is disgusted and embarrassed by the actions of the Democrat Party. Now listen to him talk about how the Democrats weaponizing the justice system wasn't just bad because it was unconstitutional and it was un-American, but it exposed that they were so afraid of Donald Trump that they had to try to cheat and could not compete fairly with him.
And I hated that because what I was saying is beat him. Go back to the tapes. Griff, nod your head if I'm lying. I was saying beat him. Don't pussyfoot around. Don't depend on the legal system to wipe him out so you don't have to go against him in the polls. Beat him. What's one of the reasons I think he lost? I think he won. Because he was saying, you can't beat me. You're using this to get help because you can't beat me on your own. And sure enough, election day rolls around and the Democrats got their ass kicked. I don't want to hear this noise about how he didn't get 50% of the vote. 49.8% he got. Kamala got 48.3. The man won 50 counties and went up in every one of them. He won all 6 or 7 swing states. The black vote, the Hispanic vote, the young voters all voted for him. He won. He won. Because we didn't want to engage in competition on the left. We were looking for the courts to help us.
Okay, leave a like if you're enjoying this, but let me tell you, this is the mildest that he is. It only gets worse from here. I mean, this man holds nothing back and nukes the Democrats. What he's saying is absolute facts. There was 25% of the population, the deranged left, that was being manipulated by MSNBC and CNN to believe all these lawsuits brought against Donald Trump were ethical, were above board, were legally justified, and Trump was just this mafia boss criminal. Remember, they tried to indict him for a RICO case. And the other 75% of the country, whether they all voted for Donald Trump or not, saw exactly what Stephen A. Smith was describing. You guys are trying to take this man off the board. You're throwing arbitrary and random cases, hoping that one of them sticks. If you're going to indict a former president, it better be the most solid, ironclad, surefire case that you can present. But none of these cases ended in convictions, except for one bogus case in New York that broke every single legal norm and rule in order to get a former sitting president on 34 counts of falsifying business records. You mean to tell me you think it's justified to go after a former president for miscategorizing a line item? What he did wasn't even a crime. He paid somebody to sign an NDA. That is standard procedure. But you're saying, whoopsie, he sent it from the wrong bank account, so now a former president is being tried for 34 felony counts. If they were really worried about January 6th being an insurrection, they would have focused all their time, all their labor, all their resources on that one case. And the evidence would have been so clear and so conclusive that you would have been able to secure an easy conviction. But it wasn't. So that's why the rest of us with common sense see exactly what that was. And Stephen A. Smith, much like other moderate Democrats, acknowledges how weak and corrupt and void of principles and policies the Democrats were in order to do something like that. Now, this is where he starts to really tear into the Democrats. So get your popcorn ready and enjoy this.
See, this is why my name is in the election. You hear me, Griff? You hear me, Wes? You hear me, Sherry? You hear me, Rashad? You hear me? The Stephen A. Smith team I'm talking to. That's why I'm in the news. I'm not in the news because I'm here. I'm in the news because the Democratic Party is here. Damn it, lower than that. Down at the bottom. They suck right now. Horrible. Because they don't have a voice. Where the hell is the voice? And everybody want to sit up there and talk about, we don't need a voice. 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 Well, guess what? Somebody got to send a message. How the hell can somebody receive a message if there's no messenger? You got to do it. And they don't have anybody. That's why Stephen A. Smith is a candidate. Who the hell told y'all I'd want to be a Democrat? I have conservative ideas. I believe in free market capitalism. I believe in patrolling our borders. I believe in strong national security.
His outrage embodies how all moderate Democrats are feeling, if there's any left. You know, Republicans like us, we're just loving everything Trump is doing. But even Democrats who might not agree with everything that Trump is doing are saying, damn, I really like this fast-paced, action-based style of governance. So while the Democrat politicians are trying to fight everything Trump is doing, moderate Democrats actually prefer seeing a government that is actively working for the betterment of its citizens versus the sluggish, incompetent, corrupt style of governance from the Democrats that never accomplishes anything. And the other glaring reason why the Democrats have no message is because they can't detach themselves from their radical base. Moderate Democrats like Stephen A. Smith, who believe in strong borders and free market capitalism and that men can't be women, are looked at by the left as some far-right extremists. So they're actively exiling anybody with common sense from their party. My dad is an old school liberal, and I even had to explain to him just how open-minded the Democrat Party got that its brain fell out. He believes in most old school Democrat ideals, but he doesn't believe a man can become a woman. So I had to break the news to him that in the eyes of the Democrat Party, he's actually a far-right extreme Nazi fascist. And that's the problem with the Democrats. You can believe 80% of what they stand for, but if you don't agree with their most radical, delusional, anti-reality philosophies, then you're basically just a Trump voter. Now, I hope you didn't set down your popcorn because his annihilation of the Democrats is not even close to over yet. Watch.
You really think that Stephen A. Smith would tolerate crime in the streets to the point where you got to let 3 people in the store at a time? Do you know anything about me? Do you know what I would do as commander-in-chief if I saw crime raiding through our streets and it was affecting jobs and safety and ultimately the economy? Do you know who the hell you're talking to or listening to? Hell, Trump might not have anything on me. With that, I ain't having it. I ain't having it. So I'm just saying to y'all, that's why I'm a candidate. It ain't because I want to. It ain't because I'm some expert. It ain't because I'm some aficionado who's saying that I know more. You know how much I would have to learn? Hell, I don't even know how to pronounce most foreign dignitaries' names. The sad part is that I'd still beat any Democrat out there right now.
The Democrats became these elitists who constructed their policies and ideologies based off the PhD thesis paper of a gender studies professor. Their sole mission became to be the party for these radical, purple-haired, trans activist, pride parade attending citizens of San Francisco who are all about delusion and depravity and hedonism and virtue signaling and delusion instead of the average, everyday, hardworking American citizen. They proposed defunding the police without even for a second thinking how that would harm the most gun-ravaged communities in America, all because it sounded good in a college lecture hall. And because these people are such narcissists and operate on victimhood status, they demanded that their concerns were catered to the most. And here's where Stephen A. Smith fires into Democrat politicians for having no backbone to stand up to these people.
And you on the progressive left? If you all the way left, okay? If you all the way left, what you gonna do, all the way right? You might not like where somebody is center left, but at least they're closer to the left than the other side. And the center left was capitulating to that. Why? Because you had no strong leadership. You had nobody to tell them to sit their ass down, shut up, and follow my lead. I'm the Democratic nominee for the presidency of the United States, not you. We gonna do this my way. They don't have that on the left. And now you got a whole bunch of people running scared, talking about leaving the country because they scared of Trump. Well, maybe if you didn't try to use warfare to get him and you just sat up there and competed with him fair and square about your policies being better than his and articulated that message to the masses, maybe it wouldn't be this way. But you didn't do it. That's why Stephen A. Smith is being polled as a presidential nominee.
When the Democrats made their party the safe space for the sad and the miserable and the anti-American and the people who want to kill babies and the weirdos and the weak men and the victims, of course they had to capitulate to these people because they complained the most and the loudest. And now you've got all these Democrats running around yelling constitutional crisis and saying Pam Bondi dangerous, Kash Patel dangerous. You got Joe Biden issuing all these blanket pardons because they know they cheated, because they upended every norm, turned us into a banana republic, and militarized the government against a former president. All because in his first term, he got a peek behind the curtain and saw how corrupt this thing was and wanted to dismantle it for the American people. But the Democrats couldn't let go of their power and their corruption and their money laundering and knew their gravy train was over unless they took this guy out by any means necessary. So no, Trump's not going after his political opponents. His appointees are cleaning out these agencies that were weaponized. And it just so happens that you, the Democrats, are the ones complicit in this corruption, so you are on the chopping block. Now he ends with giving Biden one last good smackdown for creating the open border illegal immigrant crisis.
Joe Biden opened borders. They could talk about how you could open it, but you couldn't necessarily close it after you opened it because of COVID and all this. I don't want to hear that. The streets of America were ravaged with illegal immigrants in our nation. And Joe Biden and his administration did nothing about it. After Obama had done everything about it, other than pass comprehensive immigration reform, which takes both sides of the aisle. President Obama did his job. Joe Biden did not. And the Democrats, who are progressives, that means looking forward, stood up during his State of the Union knowing that he was approaching 82 years of age and chanted 4 more years.
Democrats were so shocked to learn that this was the #1 concern for most Hispanic American voters because the Democrats engage in racist identity politics and grouped all Hispanics together and thought that they'd have no problem with letting in millions of illegal people because they looked like them and they spoke the same language. They couldn't fathom for a moment that not all Hispanics are illegal immigrants. Some actually had respect for the United States, its processes, its borders, its laws, and they waited a long time and they worked really hard to become a citizen of this great country, all for 12 million people to flow into the country unvetted, unvaccinated, which was such a huge deal for Democrats. All of us had to subject ourselves to that. But all these immigrants from God knows where, prisons and mental institutions, were allowed to just come in and bring their worst behaviors with them. And that severely pissed off Hispanic Americans who, one, left those countries because of all the problems, and two, disproportionately live near the Mexican border. To summarize, Stephen A. Smith is absolutely right. The fact that a sports anchor is polling pretty high as a potential Democrat presidential candidate tells you everything you need to know about where the Democrat Party is. Now, while for him, that may manifest in outrage, for me, and I'm sure for you, I'm getting nothing but pure joy and comedy out of this whole situation. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.